Hey Trades! This video is going to be dedicated to monkeypox and how it impacts the stock market. So, right off the bat, let's just get two things out of the way. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about virology, which is kind of interesting because I had some very interesting predictions about how the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines were going to be told to us that they were linked to serious reproductive harm. I actually said that a long time before that was made known as a fact. And I was saying that while everyone was talking about the heart problems. I was like, no, you guys don't understand. Yeah, most of you guys are going to get heart attacks and die. But the ones that don't, you're not going to be able to have kids. Right? And so I was talking about deciphering programming in the media that was showing us. I talked about Adam 22. I talked about the guy who went into the fountain at the Bass Pro Shop. And I also talked about the unfortunate man who appears to have had a disability. He attacked a judge in Las Vegas. I talked about those three events. And you'll say, oh, pup, that's so silly and goofy. Well, you'll actually go look for my post about Adam 22 and the Adam IUD. And you can go look for my post about the Alabama Bass Pro Shop. They're not there. Something happened to them. They're gone. Whoopsie. But the Ireland Times and the Epoch Times and basically every international mainstream source besides the American mainstream media is now saying, yeah, those jabs were not good. Not just for your heart. They weren't good for your reproductive system. So how the heck did I know that? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to talk about how monkeypox affects the stock market. And so I also am going to say I'm not a certified financial advisor. And while the people watching this video know I'm incredibly good at predicting the future, they also know I can't read minds. So if you like the type of content in this video, let's say starting from this point on, make sure to give this a like. Make sure to go subscribe to this. And before we get right into only stocks, only very polished stuff, let me just say, I've made this kind of gamble. I've made a gamble I made a few gambles, but one of them was that the truth community, when the best stock forecaster in the world, real charismatic guy, all of his followers really love him. 26, 27, 30,000 follower account comes into the truth community with all of this stock market credibility and starts predicting the future and using the exact same type of material you guys are talking about and showing how it practically affects the stock market. You can go short MAA and RQI and have fun doing that. And I'll throw UFO in there too, a little bit of a sneak peek, if you think all that's silly. But I thought that, the truth community, there was no way that I wasn't going to be, kind of really welcomed in by that community. But unfortunately, that community is just like Finchwit. They've got a lot of charlatans, a lot of BSers that are using this amazing knowledge of occultism and what really is just the truth of our religions. I mean, if you're a Christian or a Jewish person, you should know all of this stuff like the back of your hand. So I was very surprised when I wasn't really accepted into the truth community, and that's because a lot of the leaders realized, wait a minute, if this guy's showing how he makes lots of money in the stock market, they're not going to need my Patreon to decode a baseball game. Okay? So that was kind of a bad gamble that I made. At first I thought, okay, well, I saw all these bears, their followers just explode to Valhalla every time the VIX spikes. And I posted about that. I'm used to that. And I know that, you go predict the market perfectly for 18 months. No one really cares because everyone looks like a genius during a bull, even if you're drawing all the large caps perfectly. But yeah, the truth community, the leaders of the truth community, they're kind of like the leaders of Finchwit. They're not too happy to have me giving all this away for free and showing how to really make money off the knowledge, or at least how I do. So what's been going on? Does the stock market react to anything? My analysis is yes, and it's normally not. The market is reacting to things. Of course, I think this is all pre-planned in advance, down to the ticker. But I'm normally not the one to tell my followers, yes, this big news event, this big fundamental news event, react to it. I'm doing the opposite in this video. I'm saying react to it. React to it a lot. This is going to affect your life a lot. It's definitely going to affect the stock market. A potentially fatal disease has been declared a global emergency by the World Health Organization, the WHO. A new form of mpox, previously known as monkeypox, appears to be spreading across Africa. Cases have been confirmed where children and adults in more than a dozen countries, but few vaccine doses were available in the continent. We don't have enough vaccines. Oh no, you can see where this is going. An urgent warning has been issued today. Urgent warning. And what did I say? Wait a minute. No, this is crazy. This is crazy. I have a video 2 or 3 weeks ago where I say you can feel in your mind this kind of antsiness, that you feel like Kobe Bryant has died. You feel like it's 2020 and Kobe Bryant has died. And now it was almost the exact same amount of time later, maybe a little shorter time frame, where we get this declaration of monkeypox. So that's very interesting. We'll see how close I was exactly. I'll check that out. A highly infectious disease is known for causing lesions across the body. There was a demon named Legion. That was the name of all of Satan's demons. They were called Legion. Anyway, lesions. And the book of Revelation also says you're going to get sores on your body as part of the end times. Anyway, the birth pangs and the earthquakes and the beasts coming out of the sea. Pay attention to that if you live within 200 miles of the West Coast or the East Coast, Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. Anyway, there have been many cases in many African nations, including Burundi, Kenya, and Rwanda, since the start of the year. More than 13,700 cases and 450 deaths have been logged in the Democratic Republic of Congo alone. Oh no, I'm going to skip a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. No, I shouldn't. The WHO believes the outbreak is serious enough to declare a public health emergency of international concern, the very same category used to define the previous Ebola outbreaks and COVID-19. So, I hate to say this, but I think we all hope it's closer to Ebola than COVID, if those are the only two options. My condolences to anyone who suffered from Ebola. But yeah, you guys see what's going on. There's a outbreak, a global health emergency. We're going to talk about how the stock market reacted. But let's look at this interesting other piece of news from the WHO earlier this year. World leaders are gathering to discuss disease X. Here's what to know about the hypothetical pandemic. Wow! They simulated a hypothetical pandemic 6 or 7 months before they officially declared a real one. Anyway. Yeah, what's going on here? World leaders gathered at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, which is where CERN, or close to where CERN is located. It's close to where all the people getting microchips in their wrists to access their employer were first. Anyway, on Wednesday to discuss Disease X, a hypothetical virus 20 times deadlier than COVID-19. While such a virus isn't known to currently, we don't know this exists yet. Researchers, scientists, we got a plan though. We got it in like a vial somewhere. Researchers, scientists, and experts are hoping to proactively come up with a plan of action to combat such a virus and prepare the health system if it were to emerge as a pandemic, a possibility one expert told CBS News. That could happen sooner than we think. There are strains of viruses that have very high mortality rates and the ability to transmit efficiently from human to human, said Dr. Adesh Adija of the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. The Johns Hopkins Center worked with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to fund Event 201 in October of 2019, which simulated a zoonotic coronavirus pandemic outbreak. Anyway, it's not going to relate to Co-Diagnostics having a big grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's going to be a coincidence too. And that was a 2-year period. That's also going to be a coincidence, even though I talked about that being a 2-year period when it happened in October of 2023. Oh, but it was for tuberculosis. It wasn't for, this. So, anyway. In 2022, the World Health Organization brought together 300 scientists to look into 25 virus families and bacteria to create a list of pathogens that they believe have the potential to wreak havoc and should be studied more. I mean, that's just kind of a suspicious sentence. You got 25 people together and like, hey, what's the virus that exists now that could wreak the most havoc? And, we can study it more. You could trust these doctors. That wouldn't be a very suspicious statement, but they introduced monkey virus or monkeypox. I think they mention monkeypox in this. They talk about it could be bats like COVID-19. It could be birds like bird flu. So where do they say? Do they say monkeypox in this? Yeah, but they were looking for disease X. Right? So they were looking for disease X, and they were doing that in the beginning of this year. So why were some people freaking out about them looking for disease X earlier this year? Well, because earlier this year was right before the solar eclipse made a path that made a large X. So this eclipse was April 8th of 2024. This was August 21st of 2017, and they crossed paths and they made a large X. And those who are familiar with the Bible talked about how all of these cities in this eclipse path were called Nineveh, which is a biblical name, including one called Jonah. And they also talked about how for the other eclipse, they were all going through cities called Salem. But Nineveh, an apocalyptic book of the Bible, big warnings about the destruction of a city. I might need to refresh my book of Nineveh. But anyway, so what's that have to do with anything, Pup? Well, some people are saying that disease X, I know this sounds ridiculous, we've had all these problems with airplanes. Okay, we've had all these problems with airplanes, and a lot of people have said that in the movie Leave the World Behind, the reason that they start having problems with all these airplanes, which you can't see in Google Images for some reason, but the reason they have all these problems with airplanes, if you haven't seen the movie, airplanes literally fly out of the sky. Okay, and this was produced by Barack Obama, right? Not just some random dude. Late last year, the star of this movie was dating Matthew Perry at one point, and then the movie premiered privately on the day Matthew Perry died. And the movie is all about watching Friends. So I mentioned that Matthew Perry, there was more to his death than we thought, and then about 10 months later, we're finding out there was more to Matthew Perry's death than we thought. But that's all a coincidence too. But anyway, if you've really watched this movie, a lot of crazy stuff starts happening with airplanes, and a lot of crazy stuff starts happening with the Wi-Fi signals and stuff. And so that's used to explain the airplanes. But what about the animals? Why do the animals go crazy? Right? We see that the deer is on the cover. The animals, the flamingos are all in the pool. And so if you watch the analysis of this movie, everyone kind of comes up with the same conclusion. This was caused by aliens. Like this had to be the explanation for why everything. It couldn't have been cyber attacks from a foreign country. How did cyber attacks from a foreign country cause all of the flamingos and all of the deer to act super weird and crazy? No, it had to be the aliens, right? And so now we get into this disease X. We had the solar eclipse where the X's cross paths. And by the way, there's an emergency broadcast system sent in this video. So I'm going to throw all that out there. I know most of it's probably not going to stick. I'm probably losing subs as we speak, but that's okay. The people who don't listen to me, most of them go broke, and most of them have heart problems, and they're infertile. So, that's not really an issue. This is for the people who are going to survive what we're about to come through. You're going to be able to go to this video and you're going to be able to see, oh, this guy had it all drawn out in the stock market before it happened. So here's one, co-diagnostics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave A. I'm long this stock with leap options. The in the money one call I scaled in for, I think December, it may have been March, but I think that the January expiration, the one call, and then I've got some of the 2 strike calls too. I wanted to get that March expiration. Anyway, that January expiration was more liquid. I don't think I'll need it because we'll be deep in the money. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave A. A, B, C, wave 2, wave B, 5, 3, 5. We can even see just looking at the RSI. 1, 2, wave 3 makes the highest high. Shallow wave 4, wave 5 ends with Momo. Clearly 5 up, 3 back, and then from this low, we're gonna get into this lower count and I'm gonna divide this whole nest, I think. 1, 2, 1, 2. But look at this. I had this marked up for my own investing purposes, and look at that. The stock market moves in mysterious ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, A, B, C, wave 2 on the daily. Wow. And it turns around right there, and I actually added to this position because I saw it on the unusual options volume screen with Imperial Petroleum, by the way, another stock I've had incredible uncanniness with. I shouldn't know anything about that stock. I mean, that's a petroleum shipper in the U.S., but the only stock I predict that better than, it's a petroleum shipper in the Middle East. I shouldn't know anything about Imperial Petroleum, but the only stock I predict better than that is Raytheon. I'm just kidding, it's NVIDIA. But anyway, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, the length of wave 1, yeah, I think that this is going to at least 1.73, but that's not really what I think of this stock at all. Let's delete some of these. I got you that short-term view. We look at the long term. 1, 2, lowest low, 1, 2, lowest low, 1, 2. I think that's a triple nest, and I think that's why we're seeing co-diagnostics turn around. That invalidation is going to be 1.01, little wider, 1 flat. I think it holds 1 to 1.01 and goes into wave 3 of wave 3. So there's a few ways to do this. I can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I can go all the way up and draw every single 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. What I actually think is more prudent use of time, and if I have to update this soon because it goes out of the park, I think I'll be happy to. I might not. I might not be happy to if this goes up too soon, too fast, because I think I know why. We got Kamala Harris about to be president. Tim Walz was trending for his CV-19 response. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. But yeah, no, it was more important to bet on baseball games, right? And decode football. Yeah, it was more important to do that, right? We had our chance. That's why I'm saying, like, a lot of what I did was just to remove myself from karma. So that when we're in these places, we're in the Camping World Bull Rally. I am prepared for a Camping World Bull Rally. I am prepared for a rally in regional management. And I'm very aware of the future subdivision of regional management. We had our chance. I knew we weren't going to. The Bible says that they're not going to do it. The Bible says, hey, they're going to say, release Barabbas. They're going to tell Jesus to F off. I knew it. But I wanted to say, hey, I tried to tell him. But, we're going to be the happiest campers. I think we're going to hold 1 to 1.01. Head up to 2.40, 2.50. That's going to be short-term confirmation for you guys, but that might be where I start to scale out a little bit just to remove the original risk. I think this is a stock that could go to Van Halen. Anyway, MPW could have the best of both worlds. It's real estate and its healthcare is about to have an eruption. Let's look at medical properties. I thought this was so interesting. Up 5.34%, and the market's up. So you say, yeah, pup, well, that's, that's the real estate, that's the interest rates, that's the Fed reacting to inflation and jobs, right? Well, why was the real estate ETF, RQI, the real estate closed-end fund RQI, my bad, up only 0.24%? Why were the other real estate stocks, like Mid-America Apartment, they were barely up at all? This wasn't rates. The bond ETFs weren't up. The TLT ETF and the LQD, they weren't up, so it wasn't rates. I'll just show you SCHH just to get a pure ETF in there. It wasn't rates. Medical properties didn't go up with real estate. What's going on? Yeah, the real estate ETFs weren't even up. Little pop after hours. What's going on here? So medical properties is a REIT. But why is it up so much more than the real estate stocks and ETFs? Unfortunate little Co-Diagnostics turns around right before that $1 invalidation. 1 penny! 1 penny before the $1 invalidation. Wow. Wow, man. It turns around 1 penny before the $1 invalidation. Elliott Wave Voodoo. Yeah, you're going to end up in hell. Anyway, ABC, 0 to 1. That's where I measure these time fibs from this beginning of this correction. This 2008 crash. 1, 2, 3. And then this magic 8 right there. Boom. I really think that's going to mark a super cycle low. I know this is voodoo. I think a rally is going to occur in this stock until the early 2030s. I know it kind of sounds wild. Let's justify that time for a little bit. Okay, wave A and wave 1 are usually less extreme than wave 3 and wave C. So this 2009 to 2020, right? 2009 to 2020, we're looking at 11 years. So this could be 11 years too, and we look, that equal X time target matches perfectly with the end of this 3C. Now this is a 3C on a big degree, and let's remember, wave 3 is usually bigger, stronger, and faster than the length of wave 1, placed at the wave 2 low, a shorthand to get the 161.8% extension, measure the 61.8% fib, place at the wave 1 high. That gives a wave 3 target of 37. This pays a 12% dividend. And let's look at these fundamentals, because I'll be honest, the fundamentals are bad. I mean, compared to real estate, what's available right now, there kind of has to be this healthcare specializing thesis. I believe this is the largest hospital landlord by hospitals and beds or something like that. I think they have 437 hospitals. That number changes as they refinance. But we see this company loses $556 million a year. That poor performance has gotten it below 66% below its book value, or sorry, 56% below its book value. So it's 56% below its book value, still paying a 12.82% trailing dividend. So where's all that money for that dividend going to come from? I mean, this is kind of looking like a dividend trap. It's got this negative annual income, and it's paying out a 12% yield. And the earnings per share are negative 2.39. I can go to investing, real estate, fundamental, and sort by the highest earnings per share for the trailing 12 months, which I did in my last video. You're going to see a lot more stocks and ETFs and real estate that are way better fundamentally than medical properties. So this kind of needs a catalyst. That's what all that's to say. It kind of needs a catalyst. Right? Co-Diagnostics, maybe Bill and Melinda Gates will just give them another a couple mil. I think that this is, and I own this stock, I own this, and I own Co-Diagnostics. I have exposure, bullish exposure to every stock and ETF we're going to go over in this video. I don't think I own BME yet. In one account, I do. I don't own UFO yet. I took a starter position in a high beta play, though. So I was averaging into medical properties in the low teens, and then I started to, once real estate really fell with it, it was kind of like the high beta member of real estate. And then I started averaging into the lower beta, kind of more traditional real estate when I thought the entire sector had bottomed. When I just wanted a little bit of exposure, I get the high beta play. It allows me to take a smaller position. But this also paid a pretty nice dividend. It was backed by all these hospitals. And I think this count from this low is pretty clean. 2.92. So where's all this? Is it really just going to be rate cuts? It just seems naive to think. Is it really just going to be rate cuts? Come on now. I think medical properties and Co-Diagnostics are letting us know, hey man, that Harris lady's about to be in office. And you should probably try to remember what she kind of said. And research some of those new laws New Zealand has passed about medical autonomy. Those two women praise each other and view each other quite similarly on guns and medical autonomy. Kamala Harris and the New Zealand Prime Minister. When the New Zealand Prime Minister isn't rubbing her nose, I wonder why she's doing that. One of those countries, I'm pretty sure it was an American one, it might have been a European one. They were like high up in the government or the military, and they were like, yo, I'm not taking it. And they were like, shut up. You don't have to actually take this. You got to pretend you did. I was like, oh. America would never, right? UK, what are those free speech laws going around? Why do you think they did that? It's almost like they know there's a big thing that we need a lot of doctors to have free speech for. Because they're going to talk about some complicated stuff. And so you're just going to be able to say, are you a doctor? And the answer is going to be, no, I am not a doctor. So you're not going to have any credibility. Well, that means that we need to make sure, beyond the fact that their medical licenses, their whole careers, that they got in tons of debt for, are already being threatened? Maybe if we were going to try to do this again, we need to realize, wait a minute, there were actually some brave doctors who told people like puppy trades who didn't know crap about virology, hey, I am a fertility doctor. Here is my license to be a fertility doctor. Yes. So what does this man have to say? Because I didn't know this virus had anything to do with fertility. But let's click on this video. Oh yes, this man's risking all of his medical credentials to tell us that if a woman or a man came up to him and said, hey, I cannot ever get pregnant again. A woman, right? I cannot ever get pregnant. He said if a woman came up to him and said, because of some condition I have, I can never get pregnant again, no matter what. He said, I would prescribe this exact ingredient. This is what this guy does. He's a fertility doctor. I'm sure half the things he does is a woman saying, I can't get pregnant anymore. Make sure that never happens again. And so he said, hey, like, this is the exact ingredient, the exact medicine that I give a woman who says, I never want to get pregnant or be fertile or give birth again. And he said it's in one of these vaccines. And I was like, oh, yes, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. I didn't even know about the heart stuff, man. That man saved my life. I don't even know him. I don't even know his name. You know how hard it is to be raised in a Judeo-Christian background? Someone saves your life by telling you that the mark of the beast with luciferase vaccine in it has a fertility inhibitor. You listen to that? This is some random dude on the internet. I don't even know what country he's from. I'm pretty sure he was American. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, they're gonna need to silence all those people. Because most of them, they peer pressured anyway. Right? But some of those pesky doctors, you know, they had something called a conscience. And they had trouble sleeping, knowing that a bunch of children were getting heart attacks and a bunch of unconsenting adults were becoming infertile. And so he told people, but, you know, now the United Kingdom, you know, they're getting rid of that. In New Zealand, for the people who were going to resist everything, they're getting that too. In the bylaws now. Doesn't matter if you say no in New Zealand. They can come in your house. So if they were going to get that in America, while medical properties is above 411, and the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low, can give it a minimum wave 3 target of 7.54, but eventually the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 4 low is how the wave 5 target is found, assuming wave 4 retests the wave 1 high. That gives the price target of 10.14. So above those levels, we're going to have to ask, wait a minute. All right, so figuring out how they're going to get rid of free speech, that's easy. They already passed they're about to pass the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act as soon as Harris is in office. You know, but what about that New Zealand thing? Where it doesn't even matter if people say no. It doesn't even matter if people say no. Well, how would they be able to come and strap us to a board? Well, they'd have to take away all of our guns, wouldn't they? Well, how are they going to take away all of the guns? That's not possible, pup. How are they going to take away all the guns? That doesn't make any sense. Right? Because we have this very strong right wing in this country. And they love their guns. They'd never give them up. Right? So you'd have to somehow infiltrate the right wing. And you'd have to say, hey, when Kamala Harris is president and she tries to take your guns, you need to let her. Because the secret is that Donald Trump is actually still president. You need to trust the plan. He's just trying to show you and the normies how bad things could be. And so all the far right people, they're gonna be nodding their head up and down like oafs, and they're gonna give up their guns unless the big power outage happens and we find out why Smith & Wesson brands rallied after the lights come back on. Let's talk about IWM for a sec. I gave a little bit of healthcare. BME, I've updated BME recently. That's the whole sector. I'll probably post about it soon. Let's look at IWM, ABC correction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ends with Momo, ABC correction, 5 waves up, 3 waves back at the 50 to 61.8% fib, and I said I was looking for wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 to begin. We did get a wave 3. I'm going to subdivide this a little bit. What's going on here? Well, all those fear-mongering prostitutes are collecting their X checks, still from their VIX spike crash post, and, you know, they're even making money getting trolled on how wrong they were. You know, I'm out here giving short-term analysis of the Russell 2000. And now you might see what I think is coming in the world. You might think to yourself, man, I wonder if this guy who always seems like he's thinking about scenarios and, you know, wild risk that most people don't ever think about. I wonder if he ever thought about the risk of making lots of people who actually wanted no medical autonomy. They wanted no gun rights. They want me to be, he might not have wanted those people to get wealthy. The length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low gives IWM a target of 233. That low is 196.70. That's higher than the previous invalidation of 191. It's still a little wide, but I think that's the right level. 196.70, I think is going to hold. The length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low gives the Russell a target of 233. A little more precise can be found by some extensions. So I think it looks more like that. Wave 1, 2, 3 of wave 1, 2, 3 in progress. Very pretty. So there's the Russell. I'll give you the perfect target. The perfect target, usually a confluence of the 161.8% extension or the 61.8% extension of just wave 1. I like to take the 127.2% extension of the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low. Typically those levels will line up. But this 127.2% extension, honestly my favorite for the wave 3, especially if wave 2 went past the 61.8 to 78.6% fib, got that slingshot motion up. 196.70 is this low. 228.63. So that perfect wave 3 target, wave 3 of wave 3 target, I should say, before a shallow wave 4 and a wave 5 higher, is 244.13. Now, all right, pup. That's all fine and good, right? Some stocks might rally that would be expected to rally while interest rates crash and LQD rips, right? So how do you know this is going to be a black swan? If you know it's going to be a black swan. Co-diagnostics might be one exhibit just for this video. There's an exhibit. I think MPW, this big outperformance against real estate, kind of the day after the monkeypox is officially declared. I think that's very interesting. But remember this about disease X and how the eclipse paths made a big X. Well, a lot of people said that they were going to tell us that the problems with airplanes and leave the world behind, the problems with animals in the real world, all the pipelines exploding. They're not actually going to tell us that's due to cyber attacks or that it's due to AI taking up too much energy. No, what they're actually going to tell us is that aliens from planet Nibiru, aka Planet X, are going to invade the United States of America and also the world, and that this is actually the disease we're getting. As they get closer and closer, as Planet X gets closer and closer, obviously this is a fake alien invasion. These are United military operations with technologies that we can't understand. They're going to stage a fake alien invasion, and Planet X is going to come. As Planet X, formerly called Nibiru, comes, it is going to come, I suspect, while Kamala Harris is officially president. They're going to say it's getting closer and closer. And the gravity from Planet X is causing earthquakes. It's causing problems with planes and their signals and leave the world behind. And we've also had a lot of boat problems, where boat navigation systems went out. And they don't officially say they're cyber attacks. You know why? Because they're going to tell you, yes, they're going to tell you that this perfectly intact chart is just gonna, for some of the trolls, it's just gonna piss them off. It's just gonna piss them off for a long time. Because they're gonna tell you disease X, the earthquakes, the airplanes, the pipelines, they're caused by aliens from a planet called Planet X, aka Planet Nibiru, that is approaching. Their gravity and various things about their planet are causing not only physical calamities like earthquakes, they're going to cause a disease, and they're going to cause all of us to have problems. No, it's not 5G. No, it's not, eventually they're going to say it's not even monkeypox. It's not even COVID. It's disease X. And we're going to see UFO, the Space and Procurement ETF, go wave 1, ABC wave 2. If you think this is really dumb, have fun shorting UFO. And I'll see you in camp.